Folks, this live stream is brought to you by my sponsor AAA FX. Now, they're a fully regulated broker in Europe and South Africa offering Forex indices, commodities, crypto, and over 100 stocks. Now, at AAA FX, you pay no commission on any Forex pair using their ECN Plus account and low commissions on cryptos and stocks. Plus, you can deposit with cash or crypto, get a free VPS with deposits over 5K, and easily integrate the well-known copy trade service Zulu Trade. While you're waiting for the stream to start, go and check them out by clicking the link in the description, comments, or visit AAAFX.com.
What is up, guys? Welcome. So what we're doing tonight, we have about 4 different things I want to talk about. We're going to be doing some analysis from the past week. We're also going to be taking a look at some funded programs and what they're about and a few things related to funded programs. I have something that I want to talk about with regards to liquidity tonight, and I also want to showcase some manipulation, right? So I don't know where I want to start. I think I'll probably start with the manipulation, right? And then we will work our way from there, right? What pairs do I trade in the Asian session? I trade all pairs in all sessions. I just prefer the Asian session, right? So yeah, let me start with the manipulation. I did a video on this earlier in the week on my YouTube channel, but I am going to show it here now. And it's something that I feel like it is very, for want of a better word, a lot of people overlook it, right? So if you didn't see my YouTube video, I'm going to take a look at it now. So just let me know if you can see my screen. Just let me know if you can see what so I have trading view up. Just put a Y in the comments or a yes in the comments if you can see my screen, right? So I was working with a student in a one-on-one on a one-on-one basis, right? And basically they were using a goal, one of the goals, right, from FXIDC. Let me see if I can find them. FXIDC, right? So what they were doing, I'm not even seeing it here, right? What they were doing is they were essentially, oh no, you know what? Let me put it like this. What they were doing is they were actually manipulating the data, right? I'm not seeing it. I'm really not seeing it. But I can tell you that they were manipulating the data. And the problem with manipulated data, right? I'm not sure why I'm not seeing. I wonder if I could put it to FXIDC. Is it this way? No. So what was happening? There was different brokers feeding you different information, right? And I think this is it here. Yes, I think this is it. Yes, this is it. This is exactly it. So here's what we're gonna do, right? We're gonna compare these two gold currencies to each other, right? I'm gonna remove it after the fact, but I want to really showcase how broker manipulation, how dangerous it is. So I put the both goals next to each other. This is gold from Owanda, and then this is gold from FXIDC, right? I don't know what broker this is. If you've ever used this broker, yeah, I don't know if you've ever used this broker, but I do not think this is a regulated broker, but I digress, right? So watch this, right? If we go to gold from Owanda, you can tell that gold is much more stable. Now, the information that you're being fed on both currency pairs are actually more or less the same. However, FXIDC is manipulating the data by virtue of the candles themselves. So price is going where it's supposed to go, you know, but in terms of exact entries, it's going to be very hard to trade on something like FXIDC because look at this, right? Now, if you go on something like the 1 minute time frame, you can't trade this, my friends. You cannot trade this. You're seeing this, right? Watch the difference when I go to Oanda. You're seeing that, right? Watch the difference here. You can't trade this. This is a mixture of two things. This is a mixture of not only momentum, right, being manipulated, but also the spread being manipulated. Look at that. That candle, this current candle, never was red on Oanda. You're seeing this, right? Everybody seeing this? Everybody getting this, right? And this is the importance of obviously having a regulated broker, right? A reputable, regulated broker, right? Because what is interesting is, what I mean, regardless of your stop loss, that is insane. That is insane. So you imagine you spending all this time, all this work to create an analysis, figure out what gold might do, figure out what it might do in terms of a directional bias, all of that. And you know what ends up happening? You get into the trade thinking that, all right, well, this is a normal uh currency pair, or well, in this case, a metal. And you get into the trade thinking, well, right, well, it's going to do what you think it's going to do, and everything is going to be fine. Not knowing that the pair is being manipulated by the broker. Now, we know that pairs can be manipulated by the dealer, but the broker can also manipulate the data by virtue of what is being fed to your screen, right? They can manipulate it not only in what you see, but also in terms of the timing. So they can have latency. And this is where we can get really deep into this. We can get into the differences between dealing desk brokers, ECN brokers, and straight through networks, all of these different kind of things, right? But I'll tell you, if you have a reputable, regulated broker, you're not going to get this kind of manipulation. You know where you're going to get manipulation? With the spreads during news events and with the spreads at highs and lows. All brokers do that. You see this kind of manipulation when it's constant, where throughout the course, I mean, you know what this looks like? This looks like a fuzzy caterpillar. Did I lie? This legitimately looks like a fuzzy caterpillar. All right? That's what it looks like. I can't trade that. I cannot trade that. All right? Now, for somebody like me who uses something like a 10 pip stop loss, I want you to put this into perspective. Let's just say I wanted to buy for whatever reason right here. All right? This is 10 pips, eh? Put that into perspective. That is 10 pips. So in one candle, I could be manipulated such that, so let's just say I entered here. One candle, I could be manipulated and taken out. One candle, not even a culmination of a few candles that really says that I was wrong. You could be absolutely right and still get it wrong on a manipulated broker. That is why you want to have a regulated broker. I found this to be really interesting. Like I said, I was working with a student and she was like, whole week she realizing like gold just doing some really wacky nonsense, and it's like, why? So I was like, well, what are you talking about? It's only when I saw her screen, and I did post this on my YouTube channel at Ikata Trading. Only when I saw this. So all right, watch this, right? Watch this. Come on, people, look at that. This candle on the normal gold never went down. Come on, people, it never went down. Right? But on the other broker, which is FXIDC, this candle went down. So she's telling me that she just got into the trade and she was trying to figure out why is it that, she got it wrong. So then when I watched it, I was like, whoa, something is definitely amiss here. Something is definitely amiss here, right? Now she's trading a funded program. So obviously, these trades matter, right? They really, really matter. Now, interestingly enough, you want to be very careful because this can happen on any currency pair, any asset for that matter. What you want, and Oanda is a pretty good, reputable broker, right? They are a pretty reputable broker. FXCM is also a pretty reputable broker, right? FXCM, they are also pretty reputable, right? So that's that. That's the first thing I wanted to talk about. Is something that I really found that it could be kind of beneficial for you to learn, because a lot of people don't even know that brokers can be manipulated. How many of you knew that? How many of you did not know that actually? That, your broker can manipulate the data that you're being fed. And I know if you didn't know that, you're probably going to look at each and every single currency pair now to try to figure out, is it being manipulated? A good way to figure out if it's being manipulated is come back on TradingView and watch it in relation to another broker. You understand? Watch it in relation to another broker. So Tony Barak asks, what do you think of Hanko Trade? Now, I don't use them personally. I've never heard anything bad about them per se, but I will be very honest. Because I don't use them and I'm not sure if they're regulated or not, I'd be careful. What you want to do is do your research on the individual brokers to make sure that they're regulated, right? Make sure that they have everything. Now, a regulated broker doesn't mean they're not going to manipulate the data. They're still going to do it, but they have to follow certain guidelines within. So it's like within a range essentially, right? And they can get in a lot of trouble if they do not follow these guidelines, right? So don't get it twisted. All brokers manipulate data. However, that kind of manipulation where it's affecting the actual ability, your actual ability to place trades and stay in the trade, that's the one you want to be really careful about, because there are a lot of things that we cannot control in the industry. Which broker you use most times is under your control. All right. I like Hanko. Besides, they don't allow trading crypto over the weekends. That's fine. It is what it is, right? So that's the first thing I wanted to talk about, which is broker manipulation. If you've never heard about that before, then you've heard about it now, right? Yeah, Owanda, I would tell you, Tony, Owanda is pretty standard in terms of their data release. They give you pretty straightforward data. It will be manipulated at some point. Like I said, at highs and lows of the day, week, month, and year, you can have manipulation. For news events, red folder, and even sometimes orange folder news events, it also can be manipulated. But I will tell you that it's nowhere near as bad as what you just saw from FXIDC, right? I could tell you a little story as well. Being I have a YouTube channel, I was approached by a broker, right? Them saying that they are willing to give me commissions, right? Listen to what I'm saying. They are willing to give me commissions on every trade that everybody I recommend to come and join this broker, regardless of if that trader wins trades or not. They just want people to come and trade with them. They are willing to pay me commission. Well, of course, I told them absolutely not, right? But the thing is, that is how sketchy they are. You understand? They don't care about you. They don't. They are willing to pay commissions to people just to have people come into their doors. Be very careful. Don't accept deposit bonuses from any brokers either, because there are stipulations for that. Who do you know wants to give you free money? Think about it. Who do you know wants to give you free money? You feel me? They are not doing that because they like you or because they're your friend. There is a stipulation. There's a catch. There's an agenda behind that, right? Gigi asks where I'm from. I am from the Caribbean, Trinidad and Tobago to be specific. Yes, I am Caribbean, right? If you're probably wondering about the accent, yes, that is why, right? So that is that, right? Now, the next thing I really wanted to focus on today, I want to showcase something on FTMO, right? I want to talk a little bit about funded programs. So who in here is doing a funded program or a funded challenge? Anybody? Anybody in here is doing a funded challenge? Who? Let me see. Put those hands up, or put those who's doing a funded challenge, or anybody thinking of doing a funded challenge? Anybody? Right. So if Hanko Trade gives out a deposit bonus, don't take it. Do not take it. Trust me. All right. So yeah, let me see those answers. Anybody doing any funded programs, any funded challenges? My Forex funds, FTMO, anything, right? Okay, good. So my Forex funds, FTMO, MFF, I am cool. Anybody else thinking, haven't started? Good. So I want to talk about funded programs very briefly. Now, I do not need to be funded, right? I have my own capital. I do not need to be funded. But I do teach traders on and coach them to try to get them to be funded. And one of the biggest things that I really speak about is when you're trying to be funded, there are a few things that you have to take into consideration and a few things that you have to keep in mind. Passing the challenge is not the goal. Let me repeat that. Passing the challenge is not the goal. Taking good trades is the goal, right? I have somebody who was interested in joining my program to learn from me, right? somebody was really interested in learning to join from me, but as per usual, they were skeptic. And so I'm telling you a little story now, and I'm going to showcase something here. And they were skeptic, and you're right to be a skeptic, right? Now, the question is, he wanted to know if I could pass the challenge. So I told him yes, and I showed him where I did it. I showcased it on the Trading Nut, and I showcased it. I sent a few images or videos in my group on Telegram where I would have passed a challenge in a matter of a few hours. He's like, okay, could you do it again? I was like, absolutely I can, because I'm not ever trying to pass a challenge, right? So he's like, well, he's not joining my program until he see that I could do it. So I was like, well, first things first, I don't have to prove anything to you. But just to be petty, I'm going to pass that challenge just to prove it to you, right? Now, I'm going to show you that backend of FTMO because I'm using FTMO. I just did the free trial because I just was going to prove it to him, right? Now, interestingly enough, is only after he realized what it is I was doing and why I was so confident. It have nothing to do with I know what trade's going to win and what trade's going to lose. When you take a look at what I'm about to show you, right, you will quickly realize that I am not winning every trade. And I say this every single time. I am not winning every single trade. I am not winning every single time. In fact, I have a very, very poor win-loss ratio, right? Especially right now. For those of you who don't know, I have a very, very big event coming up in literally less than a month. And I might be good now, right? And consciously I might be good, but in my subconscious I might be anxious. But it's a very big event in my life happening literally in less than a month, right? So these things affect you. Now, I said in the Trading Nut interview that my win-loss ratio is between 55 and 70%, right? On a good day. But it has been lower. It has been lower. And I'm showing you now, over a 2-week period of an FTMO trial period, right? You're going to see this. So I'm going to share my screen now again. I'm going to show you something, right? So and oh gosh, I was sharing the wrong thing, my bad. All right, so I'm gonna share my screen. Yes, I am getting married. All right, good. So can you guys see my screen? Yes, you're seeing my screen? Just put a Y in the chat or N if you're not. Y for yes, N for no. Quickly. Just want to make sure you're all seeing. Beautiful. Now, here's what's interesting. So this is a 200K account. I did this early August. It lasted 2 weeks. 200K account. And it took me 7 days. Well, I did it for 7 days. And so my minimum profit, well, my profit target was 10K. I did 13K, which is just a little over 5%, right? My max loss was 20K, but I've never lost more than $2,000, right? My max loss was literally $1,600, but I never lost. I never went below $1,600. My max daily loss was $2,000, meaning this is the most amount of money I've lost in a day, meaning this is about 20% of my max amount I could lose per day, right? I want you to take a look at these numbers. If your funded program backend does not look like this, it is probably because you're not at a level of consistency as of yet to be trading. Now, I want you to take a look at something. I've said that my win rate is typically very, very poor. My win rate, as you can see here, is less than 50, right? It is less than 50, as you can see. Again, this is not a screenshot. This is actually, Ikata Trading backend, right? That's my email there and everything, right? My risk reward ratio, as I would have mentioned, is typically 1 to 6. Well, it's typically between 1 to 5 and 1 to 10. As you can see here, average is 1 to 6.12. You can see that when I lose a trade, I'm losing average about $480, almost $500. But when I win, I'm winning almost $3,000. This is what you want, right? GG, you are absolutely correct. Win rate is nothing. I put in that comment up because you are absolutely right. Win rate means nothing. people are very consumed by win rate. They always ask, what's your win rate? What's your win rate? I am proving to you now that your win rate can be piss poor and still make it. Now, I also want to draw your attention to this. You realize that there are days in between where I'm skipping. Some days I'm barely trading, and some days I'm not trading at all. So you can see on the 11th of August, I took 4 trades. On the 12th of August, I took 3. On the 15th of August, I took 4. On the 17th of August, meaning I skipped a day, meaning I wasn't begging to trade every single day, right? Interestingly enough, what I will tell you is you are okay to not trade every day. Please, people, you are okay to not trade every day. People don't understand this. I went in this case 5 days without trading, and this is without trading at all, right? And then, as you can see, there was one day that basically made it all happen for me, right? Now, profit factor is over. Anything over 1, they say, it indicates a profitable system. And my expectation of each trade is maybe about $500 average, right? But as you can see, typically, this is the kind of profit I would make based on the metrics and based on everything combined. Now, I want to tell you something very, very, very important. You see this point here? This is the point where most traders start to get confused. How many times, right? How many times have you been taking a challenge? You pass the challenge on day 4, day 5, and then on day 6, you start to trade 0.01. Anybody ever do that before? Anybody ever did that before? If you did, you are literally defeating the purpose because you're literally focusing on the absolute wrong thing. You're focusing on the wrong thing. You're focusing on passing a challenge when in actuality, the goal is not to pass the challenge. The goal is to take good trades. Let me repeat that. The goal is not to pass a challenge. The goal is to take good trades. So what happens is you might be in drawdown, 7%, 8% drawdown, right? Cool. You are studying. Crap, I'm 8% drawdown. I need to take this 2% and make it into something so I could come back and pass this challenge. By doing that, you're tunnel vision. You are absolutely tunnel vision into thinking that, wow, I need to make back. I need to cover, I need to cover lost ground. You understand? Because I need to pass this challenge. Let me ask you something. Do you think a basketballer, pro basketballer, goes out thinking that they have an important game? They don't do that, They go out thinking that I need to play good. That's what they do, So instead of focusing on trying to pass a challenge, what you should be doing is focusing on trying to take good trades, because here's the interesting thing. Once you are focused on taking good trades, that number is going to come so fast. Because remember also, the interesting thing is after you pass the challenge and you get the account, it's not like the games have done. In fact, the games have now begun. You now need to actually trade to make the money, because when you pass the challenge, they're not paying you for that. They're not paying you for that. So what you want to do is continue. You want to continue to take trades in the same manner that you've been taking them in. But I'll tell you what a lot of people do. They go and take this challenge before they are even ready to take it. And then they end up losing the challenge, or they end up coming to me and saying, B, midway through this challenge, could you teach me so that I can bring it back? And I tell them all, probably not. You're probably going to fail it, because there's no way that you can learn and learn at the same time in this space. What I will tell you is, once you are at a position where you are consistently taking good trades, not listen to the words I'm using, taking good trades, not making money, taking good trades. Once you're doing that, then I would say you can take this challenge. So this is why I've said in the last class, what I want you to do is I want you to be able to take this challenge, the free trial, and pass it 3 to 6 times in a row before you actually pay to take that challenge. Because if you can't do that, it doesn't make sense. Because even if you pass the challenge, there's a very high likelihood that you're going to lose the account not long after. And if you agree with that, it is probably because it happened to you. And if you don't agree, it's probably because it didn't happen yet, right? So the goal is, like I said, focus on taking good trades. Don't focus on trying to pass no challenge. Because once the challenge is passed and you've been evaluated and verified, the games have now begun. You now need to continue to take the same trades that you've been taking in the same caliber, in the same way that you've been doing it all the time. And if you're not ready to do that, you're going to lose the account. So you work hard for nothing. Am I making sense? Am I making sense? The goal, and this is why I know I could tell that student who came to me why I know I could pass the challenge, because I'm not interested in passing a challenge. I am interested in taking good trades. That is what I'm interested in. So regardless of what, I mightn't pass it right away. I might lose in the forefront. As you can see, I might start it pretty weak, actually. But once I continue to take the trades that I know I'm supposed to take by virtue of I am focusing on my rules and I'm making sure that criteria are met and everything, you know what happens? Eventually things turn around and they take a turn for the better. That's it. That is literally it. So I really hope that this really made an impact on you, right? As you can see, this was the trade that passed the challenge here. However, here's what's interesting. I did not stop because I was just I'm trading like normal. Nothing changes. I'm trading like literal normal. You feel me? And that is how you're supposed to that's how you're supposed to function. So that is that. All right. Mercatus, I'm not sure how to pronounce the name. Any tips on how to hold on to profitable trades? So first things first, what I would do to answer this question is, do you know what a profitable trade looks like? If I asked you to go in the kitchen and show me a steak knife and you don't know anything about knives, would you be able to find it? Probably not. If I asked you to go into a factory and find a generator and you don't know what a generator looks like, would you be able to find it? Probably not. Your problem, bro, is probably not that you don't know how to hold on to profitable trades, It's that you don't know what a profitable trade looks like. So thus, you wouldn't be able to identify it. A profitable trade typically is one that when you get the direction correct, it runs away almost immediately. And I'm going to showcase examples of this in a little bit, right? But that is how you focus on really holding on to profitable trades. You feel me? GG, that was not phase 2. That was a free trial. Like I said, I do not need to be funded. You understand? But I'm trying to prove a point. You don't, even when you pass the challenge, you don't stop trading. You understand? When you pass the challenge, if you're going on to the next phase, you're continuing like normal. You pass that next phase, you're continuing like normal. You understand? Do not change it. Don't stop it. Don't do anything. You are continuing to focus on taking good trades like normal. And that is what a lot of people don't do. You understand? They don't do that. They would pass the challenge and then they would stop or freeze because they're wondering, oh crap, okay, so I passed it. What do I do now? But it's because you lack direction, because you're not necessarily consistent on where you want to be. And that is exactly why you're going to be confused when you're presented with an option that you've never seen before, aka you pass the challenge. You understand? So that's my take on it, right? So the next thing I want to focus on is I want to showcase before I take a look at some of these charts, I really want to showcase or give an analogy, I should say, on liquidity, right? So the analogy that I have, I'm going to share the screen again back to the market, right? But the analogy I have is with regards to liquidity, right? And liquidity is very interesting because liquidity is an energy accumulation. What do we mean by that? What do we mean by that? We mean by the market, in order for the market to keep going, theoretically, it needs energy to do so. Everything in life needs energy in order to keep functioning, keep sustaining. Everything that, cars need energy, planes, buses, boats, ships, everything. Human beings, the market is the same. It needs energy, right? Your house needs energy to keep functioning, right? In order to have electricity flowing through its walls, it needs energy. The market is the same thing. Now, what does a human being do for energy? Right? What does a human being do for energy? We eat. The market does the exact same thing. And let me explain. If a market is overall bullish, any sell within that overall bull momentum is the market eating so that it can gather energy to continue to buy. Let me repeat that. If a market is overall bullish, any sell move within that bull momentum is the market theoretically eating so that it can grab and fill up its belly, its stomach with energy so that it can continue on its move, continue on its journey. Think about it. How many times have you tried to sell a high only to realize that it continues to go higher? You selling thinking that it's going to sell, and you know what happens? It continues higher. Now, I'm not saying that you cannot sell in a buy market, because if you understand how reversals work, you understand when a reversal is actually there, or have a good concept of when a reversal is actually there, you'll do fine. But one of the laws, and I've said this time and time again, one of the laws that I always say is do not ever go against the momentum unless a reversal is clear. In other words, if the momentum is bullish, you want to be aligned with buys. It is that simple. How do you align yourself with buys? You wait for the market to grab liquidity from the sell side, and then you get in right after that. That's it. That is it. So let me show you a few of the analysis. So this is one of the ones that I had. Now, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I didn't have any analysis. I don't think I had anything for UG on last week's class, but I did have this, right? Where I thought that UG would break, come back for some liquidity, and then continue. In fact, it never broke, therefore this never happened. However, because UG is an overall bull market, guess what? Guess what? We align ourselves with the buy. And by aligning yourself with the buy, essentially you're setting yourself up for a much easier trade, because you're forgetting about half of the problem, which is sells and buys. Half of the problem is sells, half of the problem is buys. So if by aligning myself with a buy, what I wanted to see price come down into this area, grab some liquidity from this area, and then continue up. It did indeed come down, but it never came to this area, never really triggering my alert and telling me, yeah, it's looking to buy. But it did indeed buy. All right. Interestingly enough, it did indeed buy. You all remember when I did this 2 weeks ago, where I thought that, it would come down into this area, grab liquidity, and then buy? That is the exact thing that I wanted. Now, it's not going to happen like that every single time. However, what you do want to understand is any sell in a bull market is an induction. It is designed to make people, and this is listen, let me make this clear. This is my belief. I could be wrong. All right. You can't fault me for that, because this is what I believe, right? But what I believe is in a bull market, any sell occurring in a bull market is an induction to make the market get fatter with more energy, more liquidity, so that when it is full, it's going to continue with that buy. So much so that you'd find that the sell is typically very small in comparison to the buy that comes in after. Right? Very, very small. You find maybe a 90 pip sell and then a 300 pip buy. That 90 pips of sells is jam-packed with liquidity. And the dealer now, which is the person or the deal or the entity that really moves the market, he is using that 90 pips of sellers jam-packed with liquidity to now fuel and fund the market in a bullish direction. Right? That's my belief, right? So let me show you a few of the things that we were taking a look at. So I'm going to look through all. I'm going to look through all to see if I had anything on a few of them. I know AJ, I had something, right? So AJ was one. This is a beautiful one, right? AJ is an overall bull market, right? Do we agree with this? I find like y'all are a little quiet. Do we agree with this? Is AJ an overall bull market? AJ is an overall bullish market. From since March 2020, AJ has been in a bull move. Correct? Good. That being said, I am going to try to align myself with buys until I am giving a reason to trade the market like a sell, like a reversal. Right? So on the 15-minute time frame, what I'm going to do is I'm going to come down, I'm going to zoom out all the way, and I'm going to look to see, is AJ also bullish? Indeed it is. So the current momentum, meaning these last month or so, right? Because this is from the 4th of August to present, which is the 30th. This last month or so, AJ has been in a bull move, right? Interestingly enough, the bull move of the month, the present month, is in alignment with the overall direction of the market. So What makes sense to me is any sell that you see would be a grab of liquidity so that it can continue to buy. All right. What you learn in mainstream education as a trader, what you learn is buy low, sell high. What I am actually doing is buying high and selling low. That's what I'm essentially doing. It sounds stupid, but it's not stupid if it works. All right. So what I'm interested in is when price gets into this liquidity zone, if it can reject or show me a engulf or a nice shooting star pattern or whatever. There are many different ways you can enter using this. I'm literally just giving you the foundation here. Once you get that, you'll be so freakishly surprised into how quickly you make money. Because you are now using the liquidity that has been pent up by the sellers to your advantage. The dealer is now in, or I should say, you are now in alignment with the dealer. All right, let's continue. AD and ZD, I don't think I had anything here. All right, I had this. So I wanted it to come down to this area and grab and then go back up. It did go up, but it never grabbed liquidity from this area. But I, again, had the direction right? Cool. AU. I was also right about this one, if I'm not mistaken. Where's the drawing? I had some drawings on this, just now. I know I had some drawings on this. Do I? Okay, so I guess I don't. So basically, as of present on AU, let me show you something here. So AU is now on, what do we call this? What would y'all call this? I'm not moving until y'all answer this question. What would you call this? All right, CEO Wolf, I'll answer that question just now. But what would you call this? What would y'all say? Anybody? Consolidation. Okay, fine. Yeah, maybe. This zone I'm talking about here, what would you call this? What do you think mass amount of traders are calling that? Very good. Support. Demand zones. You understand? Now, that being said, if we look at AUD USD on an overall time frame, on the daily time frame, from since February 2021, AUD USD has been in a bear market, right? And it's definitely bearish. It's overall bearish from 2021 to now. And then if we zoom out on the 15-minute time frame as well, it is also very much bearish here. AKA, in my opinion, and this is just my humble opinion, what I believe can happen is it can continue to sell because there are many traders at this point looking for buys. Now, I'll tell you what I think is very possible to happen. It wouldn't sell here, It would indeed buy off of this area. Because if it sells here, eventually people will get smart. The masses are going to get smart. They're going to say, well, every time I try to buy support, it stops me out. That don't make sense. The dealer needs to continue. You understand? The dealer continues to really induce traders. You understand? So, interestingly enough, what I think can happen is he can try to drive price to a previous liquidity. And where do I think a previous liquidity is? I would say maybe right here. Why would I say this area? This area is the last area, I think, based on what I'm seeing right now, where there's a lot of traders entering, exiting, take profit, stop loss, all that jazz. So I think that something like this, and then this can occur on AUD USD. Right? That's what I'm thinking. I don't think that it is going to sell right now. Even if it does, I would not sell it because, again, selling without that liquidity grab, you'll be in a very dangerous position because if you are a part of that liquidity, you're going to lose the trade. Right? So that is that. Right? So that is AU. But overall, I think there's a very big potential for sell incoming. Right? So we'll see. Also, that is subject to change pending NFP in 3 days, right? But we'll talk about that just now. Nothing on CAD CHF. CAD JPY, I had this as well. I wanted to see it grab the liquidity and then get to this area. It didn't grab liquidity from this area, but it did from this one. And then it did proceed to climb. And it broke this area. Anybody who was selling at this area, rip, rest in peace, you would have been stopped out. It is what it is. Right? But as of right now, I'm not seeing anything that's interesting on CAD JPY, so we'll leave that. CHF JPY, I don't remember having anything particular, but we'll leave that. Not seeing anything. Euro AUD. Right. So this is one that I would have gotten wrong, kind of. Now, Before, so I want to challenge y'all a little bit, right? Right? I want to challenge y'all a little bit. I want you to ask yourselves without opening your own chart, based on what you see me doing here. If I were to go on the daily time frame, what direction should your AUD be going overall based on what I have drawn here? What do you think your AUD should be doing overall based on what I've just told you? Should it be bullish overall or bearish overall? What do you think? Let me see if you're paying attention to the way that I do it. Should it be bearish overall or bullish overall? Very good. It should be bearish overall. So if we go to the daily time frame, 4 hour, daily, all that, isn't your AUD bearish? And this is the interesting thing, eh? You have been taught, you've been channeled, you've been fooled into believing that you should be buying every time price is on a low. I don't do that. When price is on a low, I'm looking for sells, right? And trust me, it has treated me very well, right? Very, very well. Yes, I am Trini Brew, right? It has treated me very, very well, right? So that's essentially the case. Now I'll tell you this. I did think that it would come up to this area, grab liquidity, and then drop. And it did do it somewhat, but it did not drop all of the way. And I'll tell you what I think happened here and why I think this occurred. Anytime you find price come to an area, grab liquidity, and then drop, and then it comes back again, it is because the area that it came to did not have enough liquidity to fuel that drop as much as it did. Therefore, it needs to go to another zone to grab more. So what I think could actually happen in this case, let me remove this, is we can look for the next area where there is liquidity. And in this case, I'm going to use maybe the 1 hour to try to maybe identify where that zone might be. And I would probably say maybe here. Maybe here, yeah. I would say like this. So I am thinking, let me remove this. I am thinking maybe, just maybe, a move like this and then this. Now, let me make something really clear. You realize your AUD is overall bearish, but currently it's actually starting to look a little bullish. A move like this, I would not trade it because this is a lot of bull momentum to fight against. Does that make sense? I really hope that makes sense. So even though that it could get into this area and then drop, massive drop, this is a lot of bull momentum to fight against. In order for me to sell this, it would need to be a clear rejection to this area. But prior to that, I would probably leave this alone completely. So that's your AUD, right? So I'm looking through all the pairs essentially tonight. Y'all don't have to ask, I'm looking through all, right? Euro CAD, I don't think I had anything on this. Euro CHF, I don't think I had anything on this. Euro GBP, nothing on this. Oh, right. So, okay. So this was another one that I might have been interested on. Euro GBP overall based on this should be bullish, right? Let's see. It's bullish, right? Now it's somewhat bearish here, but it's definitely overall bullish here, right? Interestingly enough, what I wanted was for it to come up, break above, come back down, grab liquidity, and then go. It did kind of do that, but the problem is it never got into the exact area that I wanted it to get to, and thus obviously never triggering my alert. I just deleted it. But that's Euro GBP. Based on what I'm seeing now, I think that it can continue to buy, but it is what it is. I'm not necessarily seeing anything that is really prevalent, so I'll leave it alone. All right, EJ. Right. So this is one I got wrong. I thought that EJ is going to come here, bounce the trend line, bounce on this zone, break up. It actually broke down a little bit, but it did again continue in the bull direction. Why? EJ is overall bullish. Align yourself with the overall direction and you'll be so surprised. That's what it is, because I know a lot of you guys, right? I know a lot of you guys do not trade tight stops like myself, right? I use ridiculously tight stops, right? 10 pips, right? And for some of you, that is insane, right? But I'll tell you this. By doing that, when I lose, I'm oftentimes able to lose the trade in a matter of seconds. But I'm fine with that because it allows me to not get into my emotions and all of that. You feel me? So if you are using wider stops with this technique, if you are getting the direction correct, you'll be surprised how long you can stay in a trade. Because if you're aligning yourself with the overall momentum, oh yeah, trust me, it's going to go. Typically, it's going to go. B. Axter says, are you Indian Jamaican? Wild accent. I am Caribbean, West Indian. So I am mixed up with all kind of things. I have Negro, Spanish, Indian. I am what you call here in Trinidad, they call us something called a dougla, meaning I'm mixed. I have all kind of thing in me. I am like a jambalaya. That's what I am, right? So yeah, right. So that is that. So I'll continue. I'll answer some other questions just now, but I want to get through this here quickly. I hate this pair, so I don't trade it. So I'm not even gonna waste my time on this. EU, I lost this trade earlier yesterday. Yeah, yesterday. Right, thinking that it grabbed some this. You all remember I had this thinking that it's gonna come up, grab liquidity from this area and then drop. It did come up to grab liquidity, but it didn't get to this area actually, and then it dropped. So I'm thinking, well, all right, well, it has enough liquidity here. It maybe would have grabbed some from a little area here and then continue. And it did give me a 1 to 2 risk reward ratio trade, but not before, not after taking me out. So I'm cool with that, right? That it is what it is. You're gonna get that sometimes, right? But based on what I'm seeing on EU, I would leave EU alone for now because it's definitely in something of a range here. So I'm going to leave it alone. I want you to think of something very interesting. If the market doesn't know where it wants to go by virtue of the market is ranging, how can you? I'll wait. If the market does not know where it wants to go by virtue of the market is ranging, how can you know? You understand? Very important. Now, I'm not saying that you can't trade a range, but I am saying that it is very dangerous to trade ranges if you do not understand that general direction. That's what I teach. I teach trying to make sure that you understand the general direction, right? If you come to me, that's the first thing I set you straight with that from the jump, right? So we're going again. GA. I was interested in a spike up and then a drop. It continued to drop, again, getting the direction right as per usual. But it never spiked. It did grab liquidity from this little area, but it never continued. It is what it is. G card, I don't think I had anything. All right, so I wanted this. I wanted a spike up to this area and then drop. It kind of did. It did go definitely a lot further, but it did drop. Again, direction correct. So realize so far I am right on the direction on all of them. Cool. GBP CHF, I don't think I had anything on this. GG, I don't think I had anything on this last week. GN, I did not have anything on this. GU, I did have something on this, and I'm in this trade presently. Right? Again, similar situation. I wanted to see a spike. This is last week, right? So this here is last week. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. This was last week. So this is what I had. I wanted to see it spike up, drop. It did indeed spike up to this exact zone and then drop. Guess what? It came back up to this new liquidity zone now and then also drop. No EMAs, nothing like that. I have said this time and time again. My system is not an EMA-based system. It is a price action system that uses EMAs sometimes for a better entry. But you can absolutely do it without EMAs. People get it so wrong. So wrong. It has nothing to do with any indicators. If you understand the momentum, you understand where liquidity might be, you'll be very surprised. But so far, this trade presently is floating at, what is this trade floating at? This is floating at 96 pips of profit. 98. That's a 1 to 9. And it got ultimately to 130, 134. That's a 1 to 13. Let that sink in. That is why when I show you on my FTMO back end there with that trial that I did just to prove that student wrong, when I showed you that, that is why my risk reward ratio is so high. Because when I get trades like this, I'm telling you, they don't stop. They don't stop. And I'm still holding this G right now. My stop loss is legitimately right here, right above this last spike. No, sorry, my bad. It is right here, right above this last big spike up to this little liquidity right here that I'm seeing. This. So I was watching that. I was watching our price just kind of got into that area and it never really broke. So right, I was like, cool, let me just leave my stop loss right above there. And I'm leaving it there. I'm going to literally leave it there, period, until it gives me a reason to drop again. And that's it. It is what it is. Right? NZD card, let's continue. I said sells on this one since like 3 weeks ago or something like that. That happened. NZD CHF. I didn't have anything on this. NZD JPY. I don't remember having anything on this. NZD USD, this is one that I was really interested in as well, but it did trigger my alert, and as it triggered my alert and I was looking to enter, it continued. I was like, whoa, 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 whoa. I want to see you reject this. If you're not rejecting this, that's a problem. So it broke it completely. I was like, all right, cool. That's a problem. So when it broke and it started to break back down, from the time I realized it breaking back down, I was like, you know what? I don't miss it already. My best potential entry would have been a lot higher. I just gonna leave this alone completely. Right? So that's that. UCAD, I did not have anything on UCAD, but I do believe based on what I'm seeing right now, UCAD could potentially try to break down, I would say maybe to this area. I feel like it is too obvious that it would come back to this last high here and do that. I feel like it should go a little lower because there would be liquidity below that last high. So I think it makes more sense for the dealer to drive price just a little lower. Maybe something like this and then a buy. So what I would do in this case is maybe set an alert here just to wait to see what happens. That is that. USD CHF, similar situation on USD CHF. I think that this last high would be too obvious. I think maybe this is prevalent. So we could potentially see maybe something like this and then that. Maybe. Who knows? Right? UJ. I mean, so far by doing this, I've been more or less pretty spot on. UJ, we did that already. I see somebody asking me about gold. Gold is on a support right now, I would say. I think that it can go up to grab some liquidity to continue down. Right? And last but not least, US 30. I think that it could potentially try to get above this area before it continues that sell. So we might be looking like something like this and then that. Maybe. And that's US 30. Right? So I have essentially just more or less given analysis because and I'm able to do this so quickly because I have a general understanding of where the markets are going because I did analyze them prior, right? But that's essentially what I'm interested in on. And yeah. So let me see if I can answer some questions here now. Okay, good. So I'm seeing you're a good girl and you know it. You act so different around me. Okay, cool. I agree. All right. Euro USD. All right, cool. Very equal lows. Chinese data tonight will move AUD at 9 p.m. Yes, I know that there is a news event that can affect AUD later on. That will be in 1 hour and 8 minutes. And we'll reevaluate AUD in a little bit to see if there's anything that could play out. CEO Wolf asks, do you ever try to catch a counter trend to that area? Or is that a fool's game in your opinion? It is absolutely a fool's game in my opinion. Reason being, while it is very nice to catch a counter trend, it looks really savage. What I will tell you is that it is better to find the overall momentum and just go with the flow because there's less friction, right? By entering a market where you are literally going against it. You ever try to walk into a crowd and go against the crowd? You ever think about what I'm asking you? You ever try to swim in water that is flowing against you? You ever try to, do anything that is resistance based, that's pushing back against you? That is exactly what counter trend is. You are entering a market where there's so much momentum in that direction. You are essentially kind of guessing because it could reject, it absolutely could reject. And just like with other trades, yes, you could potentially, have an analysis and all of that. But I would say going with the flow is much easier, much simpler because it is inherently less steps and less effort, right? Instead of trying to catch a falling knife, I rather pick it up off the counter and throw it. That way I have more control. I want you to take this into consideration. The market is not random, but the results of your trade is. And what I mean by that is very simple. You can get the direction right, and your entry could be wrong based on what, when, why, where, and how. So the market could be doing exactly what you wanted to do, but based on what you did, when you did it, why you did it, how you did it, and where you did it, can actually make that result much more random. So to try to kind of alleviate that, it's better to just try to go with the flow most times, because by going with the flow, it kind of reduces that randomness significantly. That's just me. That's my thoughts on it. That's why I said the law that kind of is a cornerstone for me. Don't go against the momentum unless that reversal is clear. If that reversal is not clear, trust me, I'm not going to go counter trend. I'm going to continue to look for sells, even though it is low. All right. Next question. Yes, I am trading. Yes, I answered that already. Boom, 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 boom. All right, cool. I was just about to ask. Yes, it's clear you wouldn't take the second trade due to potentially break. Yes. All right. Do you only trade Asian to London? Bro, I trade all the sessions. However, like I have said, I just prefer Asian because this is the time of my day when, it suits me best to be in front of the market to actually analyze and stuff. I prefer Asian. I'll be honest. I love Asian. But it's not uncommon for me to trade New York. It's not uncommon for me to trade London. But if I am given the opportunity to enter in Asian, oh, trust me, I would prefer that any day. Right? Kaiser Sosa and half Trini say mix up. Yeah, bro. Right? Wait for the breakout and confirmation. So the confirmation, what confirmations would be are big star formations into those zones or engulfing candles off of those zones. Yeah? Right? Limit orders are better than market orders. I would say there are place for both, right? There's a definite place for both, right? The reason being limit orders typically are for when you don't have the time to sit in front of the trade. You have time not in front of the chart. You have time constraints with work and whatever. But you give up something. Obviously, everything in life has a cost, and limit orders costs is you give up your ability to react, because regardless of how the candle form, once it hit that limit order, it's open. So you lose the ability to react. You understand? To really pay attention to how price is getting to that zone, right? But market execution makes it that you have to be there at the right time. So they both have the caveats, right? So that is that. Can you do a lesson on push pullback accumulation? I'll do that on another day. I don't want to talk too much about that now. How much capital do you trade with to live the life you live? I plead the fifth. I choose to not answer that. I do not believe people need to know that because, again, like I say, there are a few things in life that you do not talk about. I do not flex. I do not feel like you need to flex to be able to be a good trader. That's one of the biggest things. That's one of the biggest things I pride myself on. I do not flex at all. Yeah? Cool. Can we talk about NAS? Yeah, sure. We could talk about the NAS. Let's talk about the NAS. So NAS is more or less essentially the exact same thing as US30, but I will treat, because this is a philosophy I have as well. I do want you to learn to treat different pairs as different entities, right? Now, this is the last area that NAS has been to. So what I would say is I would like to see price get above this and reject, but I'm not quite sure about where the liquidity might be. In fact, you know what I'm actually thinking? I'm thinking here, maybe something like that specifically, right? Let me go back to US30 to see if that aligns. Yeah, actually, it kind of does. Yeah, I think that is very high potential. So yeah, that's what I have. Yeah, that's basically what I wanted to really discuss tonight. I got everything that I wanted to see out. One of the biggest things I hope that you take away from this, like I have said, an impolite question anyway. I don't get how someone can ask it. It's like asking random how much you earn in their job. I wouldn't say it's an impolite question. I would say that it's a question that you can choose to answer it, because again, there are people who they like to talk about how much they make, but again, it's such a controversial thing to talk about it, because, and then if you know where I live in the Caribbean, you'd know that crime is a very, very real thing here, right? And well, it's a very real thing in the world, but it's very, very real here. So I choose to not make myself a target per se. All right. I try to be as humble as I can be. I show when I lose. I talk about when I lose. I don't hide that. I wouldn't show you exactly how much I lose, but I will show you when I lose. You understand? Yeah. So I got everything I wanted to talk about out of the way. Do we have any questions before we close off? One thing I will say is, like I said, with regards to those funded challenges, don't take it if you're not ready. Don't pay if it is you're not ready. Prepare yourself. Save your money. Prepare yourself, because I'll tell you, you'll just end up paying my Forex funds, FTMO, the 5%ers or fivers or whatever it is, all these different, because there are hundreds, thousands even now. Don't pay them until you know you're ready. Stop it. Trust me. You understand? Trust me. You want to make sure that when you do pass that challenge, that you can contain and sustain that account for a very long time. You understand? Very, very important. Very, very important. Yeah? Guys, if there aren't any questions, I think I'm going to close the session off here now. I really hope that you have a great rest of your day. If you have any questions, you all know where you all can find me. You can follow me on Instagram at Ikata Trading. You can follow me on TikTok at Ikata Trading. You can subscribe to me on YouTube at Ikata Trading. You can message me on Telegram at Ikata Trading as well, right? And yeah, if you want to email me as well, ikatatrading1@gmail.com. YouTube is Ikata Trading. Just let me put it here. You know what? Let me put the link for you. All right, I'll put the link so you all could literally just click on it and organize that. All right. You all could just click it and then subscribe, because I do this very frequently. Very, very frequently. Right? About where is my link? I don't even know where my link is. Wow. Is it this? Oh, I think this is it. Yeah, here you go. Right? So yeah, I'm just gonna post it here. I think guys are there. Yeah, cool. Right? If you have any questions, like I said, you can message me directly. I'll also put my Telegram link here as well. t.me/Ikata Trading. Right, cool. So you all are welcome to do that. Do your thing. And have a great rest of your week. I will see you guys next week. Have a great day and week, guys. Proper surplus placement, proper risk management. Peace out. See you all soon.